In the unforgiving realm of Mount Everest, where over 300 climbers have tragically perished and more than 200 bodies still rest on its icy slopes, a determined yet inexperienced Canadian woman set her sights on the summit. For her, the mighty Everest wasn't just a dream, it was her first 8,000-meter peak. Against all odds, she reached the top. But what she didn't seem to realize was this: on any 8,000-meter mountain, reaching the summit is only half the battle. From the very beginning, Sherpas had warned her against making the attempt. They warned her of the dangers, but she dismissed their advice and forged ahead. As she climbed higher, her oxygen supply began to dwindle, and once again, the Sherpas pleaded with her to turn back, but she brushed them off and continued her ascent. When she finally stood at the summit, she spent an astonishing 30 minutes taking it all in, a moment of triumph. But as she began her descent, everything changed. Above 8,000 meters, in the realm known as the death zone, climbers are no longer in control. It's a place where the thin air, brutal cold, and merciless terrain make survival uncertain. Up there, the mountain dictates the terms, and no matter how brave or prepared, the mountain always has the final say. This is the extraordinary and tragic story of Shriya Shah-Klorfine. Before we dive in, I'd like to request you to please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support keeps us motivated to bring you more fascinating stories. Thank you. Shriya Shah-Klorfine was born in Kathmandu, Nepal in 1976. When she was 9 years old, a helicopter trip to Mount Everest with her parents sparked a lifelong fascination with climbing the mountain. Later on, she moved to Canada, became a citizen, and followed her passion for adventure and travel, all while building her career as a businesswoman. Shriya had already conquered several notable peaks, including Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, Mount Elbrus in Russia, and Aconcagua in Argentina. Her ultimate dream was to reach the summit of Mount Everest, which she saw as the highest achievement of her climbing career. In the end, Shriya did achieve her dream of standing atop Mount Everest. However, it appears she may not have fully planned for the challenges of the descent. Shriya was determined to conquer Mount Everest, letting nothing stand in her way. For months, she focused on preparing for the climb, working tirelessly with a team of expert guides and fellow climbers who would help her navigate the mountain's dangerous terrain. She underwent rigorous physical training, which included intense running, weightlifting, and altitude training. Even though her training partners sometimes commented on her slower pace, Shriya seemed to have an edge as she didn't suffer from altitude sickness like others. Shriya understood the risks and challenges ahead, but her determination to achieve her dream was unshakable. She spent countless hours hiking hills near her home with a heavy 20-kilogram backpack and participated in karate, rock climbing, and cardiovascular training with her team in Nepal. Shriya Shah-Klorfine decided to hire a new guiding company called Utmost Adventure Trekking for her climb, paying a lower fee of $36,000 to $40,000 compared to other firms. However, the total cost, including airfare and equipment, reached around $100,000. She tried to raise funds through her website and events, but these efforts were mostly unsuccessful. Because of this, she had to take out a second mortgage on her home to pay for the expedition. Shriya's grand adventure began on April 18, 2012, when she and her team set off on a challenging journey to conquer Mount Everest. They started from the south side of the mountain, which is the most popular and accessible route. Along the way, they faced numerous challenges like dangerous ice falls, hazardous crevasses, and harsh weather conditions. Despite these obstacles, Shriya's unwavering focus on her goal kept her moving forward. As the crucial day approached, the most senior Sherpa of Utmost Adventure had second thoughts and warned Shriya that both she and her Sherpas might perish if they attempted to climb Everest. But Shriya's determination was unshakable. Her husband said, when she set her sights on something, nothing could stop her. She was as strong-willed as they come. Shriya's courage and determination as a Canadian businesswoman were truly admirable. However, the challenges of Everest were unlike any other. known only to the experienced Sherpas who had lived in the area for years. It was a test of human strength and endurance, a battle against nature itself, and Shriya was determined to succeed. Altitude sickness isn't a straightforward enemy that loudly announces its presence and gives you a chance to prepare. It's a sneaky adversary that catches you off guard, slowly working its way into your body. This isn't an illness you can just ignore like an annoying bug. It's a powerful foe that grows stronger over time until it finally makes itself known. And by then, it's often too late. One minute you feel invincible, and the next you're overwhelmed by its grip. The stealthy nature of altitude sickness is truly alarming, often catching people off guard, making them realize they were never ready for its sudden impact. The mountain was crowded with climbers on Saturday. Thrill seekers driven by adrenaline continued their risky climb well into the afternoon, around 2:30 p.m. Even though the main guide warned her that she might not make it to the summit and back safely, Shriya was determined to reach the top. She mentioned her financial investment and personal goal as reasons for her persistence. Thakuri, now part of a different expedition, had already summited and was descending when he encountered Shriya at the Hillary step. She was still on her way up. Thakuri checked her oxygen level and advised her to turn back, but she refused. She told him that they could head back if he wanted, but she was going to keep climbing.
Even we say like, you cannot go, you have to go down strongly, then he says like, no, I spend money and my goal is to reach to summit. And then, anyhow I will go. So in this case, we cannot do anything.
After several unsuccessful attempts to convince her, the guide generously gave her an extra oxygen cylinder and left her to continue her ascent. Shriya's determination to reach the summit was driven by the pressure of a second mortgage, donations, and her lifelong dream. Despite warnings from her guide and her worsening condition, she pressed on. In a daring feat, Shah-Klorfine reached the summit after an exhausting 19-hour climb, enjoying the stunning views from the summit for more than 30 minutes. However, her ascent was filled with danger. She began using her oxygen supply earlier than usual, had an insufficient supply, and spent an unusually long time in the deadliest part of the mountain, which is above 8,000 meters, also known as the death zone. These risky actions combined to create a dangerous situation. To make matters worse, Shriya did not prepare for the difficult descent, showing her impulsive and risky decision-making. On May 19, 2012, Shriya and her team were descending from the summit of Mount Everest, just a few hundred meters from the top. Disaster struck. As the evening sky darkened and strong winds blew around them, Shriya succumbed to altitude sickness, a condition that can easily claim lives at such heights. One of the Sherpas who was with Shah-Klorfine during her descent shared that she was in a very serious condition and needed constant support to keep going. She was almost unable to move on her own and needed help from both Sherpas just to take a few steps. Each step she took was a struggle, as if her legs were about to give out, and she risked falling down the dangerous slopes of the mountain. It felt like she was fighting against an invisible force, leaving her vulnerable to the harsh elements and the unforgiving terrain. As Shah-Klorfine and her Sherpas made their way down the mountain, an unsettling silence surrounded them. Then she suddenly stopped moving and speaking, making the Sherpas realize something was terribly wrong. It was already 10 p.m. on May 19th, and she had been climbing for an exhausting 27 hours straight. Despite their desperate efforts to help her, she remained unresponsive and continued to slip away until she took her last breath. The mountain had claimed another life, and Shah-Klorfine's journey seemed to have come to a tragic end.
उड्नु भन्दाखेरि तपाईको दुईजनाले समायो भने उहाँ जिउ चाहिँ ठिङ्ग्रिएर चाहिँ बस्न सक्नुहुन्थ्यो अब एकछिन चाहिँ अब त्यो तर खुट्टा चलेकै त्यो लडी प्यारालाइज भएको जस्तो नै भइसक्यो त्यो लगभग.
On May 19th, 2012, a tragic event occurred as Shriya Shah-Klorfine lost her life at 8,400 meters on Mount Everest's south side. She was one of 10 people who died that climbing season, including 4 who perished on the same day as her. Her body was found just 250 meters from Camp 4 on the Nepal side, where she took her last breath at the age of 33. Her desperate final words, "Save me," still resonate with those who were there during her final moments. Despite the heroic efforts of the Sherpas to rescue her, Shriya's determination and bravery led her to take risks that ultimately resulted in her untimely death. It took 10 days to recover her body from the dangerous mountain slopes, where it was found at over 8,000 meters before being airlifted away. Her death serves as a powerful reminder of the perilous nature of climbing the world's highest peak. Russell Bryce, an experienced mountaineer, once said, "Over the years, we've become too successful in climbing Everest. It seems almost automatic that people can reach the summit. But that's not true. It can backfire, and that's exactly what happened this year." Even though Shriya's story ended in tragedy, it still inspires those who chase their dreams despite the difficulties. Her legacy stands as a symbol of courage, determination, and persistence, continuing to motivate many for years to come. Ironically, on the very day Shriya Shah-Klorfine tragically lost her life while trying to reach the summit of Mount Everest, Tamai Watanabe, a 73-year-old woman from Japan, made history by becoming the oldest woman to summit Everest. She broke her own previous record set 10 years ago. The different outcomes for these two climbers highlight how important preparation, skilled guides, and following the Sherpa's advice are when climbing Everest. Shriya Shah-Klorfine was an amazing person who embraced adventure and pursued her dreams. Though her journey ended in sadness, her legacy continues to inspire us. Shriya's story reminds us to keep following our passions, no matter how tough the path may be. Let her bravery and perseverance encourage us to keep striving for our goals with determination. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep aiming for greatness.